Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with a beginner's guide to Imperator, Rome. This series will take a granular approach to the various aspects of the game in the hopes of helping wherever possible, with specific episodes dedicated to each topic. That being the case means I'm always open to suggestions in the comments below on topics to cover next. Today we're going to discuss the why, what, and hows of trading, going over the mechanics and systems behind this very important aspect of the game. Not only does trade bring wealth, it also influences many other major parts of your nation. So without any more time to waste, let's dive in. Trade can't happen without goods to trade, so let's first talk about trade goods. There are a total of 34 trade goods split into various categories: strategic, growth, population, military, and economy and technology. Each of these goods can do a variety of things for you. There are different benefits to having the good available in the province, having a surplus of said good in the province, having a surplus of said good in your capital province, and exporting the good. If you pick any city and click on the trade route button, you can see all of these benefits by hovering over the goods, and any of these benefits that you have will be checked off. Seeing these benefits might start making things a bit clearer as to the why of trading. For example, you can't recruit cavalry anywhere that doesn't have access to horses, and you can't recruit heavy infantry anywhere that doesn't have access to iron. Trade goods are produced at a city level, but circulated and traded at a provincial level. So, if one city under your control in a province entirely or partially under your control produces a trade good, then every part of the province that you own has access to it. So how does one go about obtaining these goods? You either own a city that produces it, or you import it. Let's consider the former first. Clicking on a city will show you what that city produces, how much of it is produced in this city, and what is needed to produce another. You can also see all the cities in the province listed here alongside what they produce and who owns these cities. This screen also shows you what trade goods the province that this city belongs to has access to in the parts owned by the person who owns the selected city. This can be through trade or local production, and this section also indicates the level of surplus that might exist. But this is all local. What about at a larger scale and distance? Let's take a look at the trade goods map mode. A little overwhelming at first, but this tapestry tells us exactly where a certain type of trade good is produced at a city level. Eventually, the colors will start to make sense from a distance, like dark green for wood or magenta for wine, but to make life a little easier, you just need to find one source, any source of a particular good, and click on it to highlight only the cities that produce that good. So basically, if you know one place to get something, you can use it as a reference point to find all other producers of the same good. Salt is the one example of that not working too well, at least in the launch version, because the color can blend into the neutral gray color of nothing. Apart from that though, this will make planning your conquests a lot easier. Let's say you're playing as Thamud. Want cloth? You can head here or here. Want dyes? Try to conquer this city. Elephants? A harder one to conquer, but surely you could get there eventually. Iron? Oh, no, okay, you're out of luck. Let's go to a known source of iron and click on it to reveal, back closer to home, the closest source of iron. Now you could get to these cities through conquest eventually, but if you need a far-off good right away or don't want to fight a major power over a few bottles of wine, you might consider importing it instead. You can only import goods under specific circumstances. For one, you need to have an available trade route. Nations start with one trade route available at their capital province, and the larger powers will have one extra trade route at their capital province per step in size. So a regional power will have one more, and a major power will have two more. Whether you start as one or you grow into one of these bigger powers, you'll have or acquire the right number of trade routes as you go along. But let's say you need more, and let's say you need trade routes further away from your capital province, as can be the case when you expand to certain sizes. Imagine being a Roman soldier deep in Germania, waiting for heavy infantry reinforcements that have to come all the way from Italia because there's no iron available nearby. There are a couple of ways to do this. One option is to head over to the Economy tab and set Commerce to Free Trade. As you can see, your commerce income will drop, but you will get an extra trade route in all of your provinces, including your capital province. A more granular approach would be to select the province where you need the extra trade route and assign the Encourage Trade Governor policy. This will increase the trade route count by 1, and it'll also increase commerce income by 10%. You can, of course, use both of these options to reap the benefits of 2 new trade routes. Once that's done, you can click on the trade route button again, and now you'll see check marks for goods that you can import. You'll notice there's no check mark for iron or elephants, which is a bit of a problem. If we click through on elephants, we see that there's a route available nearby from the province of Ptolemy of the Hunt, but the people who control it don't like us enough to trade with us. Well, Blemia, I can't Blemia. Puns aside, elephants are a powerful strategic resource, and that's the hang-up here, as you can see. All isn't lost, though. I can click on the flag here to head over to the diplomacy screen, and I could butter these folks up by sending them a gift or trying to improve their opinion of me. As that's happening, let's look at iron. This time, the cross implies that there is no chance of importing iron at all. Now, why could that be? Well, for one, a province can only export goods that it has a surplus of, and 2, trade has a maximum range that matches your diplomatic range shown in the diplomacy screen here. This range is measured as the distance between capitals, but any nation you share a border with is immediately in diplomatic range. Decisions, technologies, and increasing in power level can help increase this range, but it looks like Thamud is out of luck in the iron department. However, after some time, with enough effort spent getting Blemia to like us, and with 25 civic power in our pocket that is required to establish a new trade route, we can import elephants and reap some financial benefits from this as well. More on that in a bit. So what does this teach us? Well, for one, you can't always get what you want, so make sure you don't assume you can get all the trade goods and the benefits they unlock. But it also teaches us that importing goods can sometimes just take a little bit of extra effort to improve relations with people who have something we want. But that's only the case with international trade. That's right, goods can be moved within your own nation, and I've alluded to this before. There are a few reasons for doing this. One is that you're guaranteed success and don't have to butter anybody up for the goods. Another is that moving goods from one spot to another will allow you to spread options and benefits as needed. Salt at your frontier provinces will increase local fort defense, while cloth is best used in a province with a higher tax output, and having unit-specific resources near the enemy will allow for quicker reinforcements. Plus, certain resources have great benefits when present as a surplus in a province, even if it's not your capital. So even if you're already producing a trade good in a province, you might want to import more of it to get the benefits of the surplus. Another reason to move goods is to give the capital a surplus to reap the extra benefits that doing so gives. For example, surplus iron at the capital gives extra heavy infantry discipline. Surplus horses, elephants, and camels help in similar ways. You'll see manpower buffs, happiness buffs, army maintenance cost reductions, and all sorts of great benefits to having a surplus in your capital. An internal trade route is easy to set up. You can set up an export from a province by selecting it and clicking on the surplus number of the relevant trade good, or you can set up an import to a province by selecting the province and clicking on trade route, selecting the good, and then picking one of your own provinces from which to import. Keep in mind, a province will only export goods that it has a surplus of, and the province that is exporting will lose the surplus resource for as long as the trade route is active. So for example, if a province produces 2 surplus of silk, it can export to 2 provinces and still maintain the 1 base production of the goods, or it can export to just 1 and maintain the 1 step of surplus benefits. If you want to cancel a trade route, you just have to select the importing province, click on the trade route button, and click on the one you'd like to cancel from the list down here. Another way of setting up trade routes is by using the macro builder menu. Tabbing over to the trade goods section, selecting the goods you're looking for, and then seeing it represented on the map. Areas with blue stripes have the selected trade good but not in surplus, so they cannot trade. Areas highlighted in yellow have the trade good but are unwilling to trade due to a poor relationship. And finally, areas highlighted in green are willing to trade the selected resource. Hover over any of these provinces to understand what's going on and why they might not be willing to trade the goods with you, and click on one of the provinces highlighted in green to get a little pop-up that lets you pick where to ship the trade goods to. If you're wondering how to export to foreign powers, you just have to wait until they ask. You will get requests for goods, and when they pop up, you can see who is asking for what, how much it will make you, and what benefits it will give you, alongside what nation-level benefits you might lose, if any. Exporting certain goods give you some pretty excellent buffs, so don't shy away from a ripe opportunity, but be mindful of what you're exporting. Giving a future target of war access to, say, elephants or iron means they'll be able to reap the benefits, such as heavy infantry or war elephant recruitment. Money is good, but don't set yourself up for failure by strengthening a potential future enemy. Aside from actual goods changing hands, trade will result in money changing hands as well. Whether this represents the flow of wealth from traveling merchants or some form of commercial tax is irrelevant. What matters is that every time you set up a trade route, import or export, you will be told how much money it will make you. Listed as commerce under the income and economy tabs, the money earned from trade occurs at a provincial level, but it is mixed in with other factors at a city level. This is when picking your trade routes can be beneficial. Apart from technology or decisions that can improve commerce income, you'll see that unrest can reduce the amount earned by a percentage, while having a coastal port will increase the amount earned by a percentage as well. Having spices, incense, glass, or silk in a province will increase commerce income by 10%, and every step of surplus will add another 2% on top of that. Building marketplaces in a city will also increase commerce income, as well as other things. So, if you have a province that is exporting or importing a lot, and you have a city within that province that has a coastal port, you might want to import spices and incense and glass and silk. You might want to assign the encourage trade or acquisition of wealth or bleed them dry province policies, and you might want to stack it with marketplaces. These benefits stack, and the percentage increase is, well, it's a matter of multiplication. The difference can be huge, relatively speaking. Discussing trade strategies is probably a deeper topic for a later time, but consider a few things from this video. During wartime, having a surplus of relevant strategic goods at your capital will strengthen your troops by buffing their discipline and, as a result, their damage output. During peace, those resources might be better used elsewhere. A salt surplus at your capital will help reduce the cost of maintaining your standing army, which is always helpful and also hilarious to think about with regards to Carthage. I guess at some point you can import too much salt and then you don't have to pay any army maintenance at all. Now, resources like grain, fish, and livestock can be used to help bolster the growth rate in a region, which can help bolster its output. Salt, stone, and vegetables are good resources to have in the frontiers. They strengthen forts or buff supply limits. Amber, cloth, and gemstones are great resources for provinces that pay a lot of taxes, and papyrus is great for provinces that have a lot of research output. If things are getting scary and your people are getting upset, consider the province where it's a problem. Look at what population type is upset, and maybe import the relevant trade good. Woad, olives, wine, precious metals, dyes, dates, they all serve a different purpose. Trade is a very integral part of Imperator Rome, and while many situations will have you overcome adversity without paying too much mind to trade, you'll find the benefits of a well-organized trade empire can be quite the advantage. Make your army strong, your people happy, and your output as good as it can be, and you will fare a lot better. And the extra money coming in doesn't hurt either. I hope this video gives you a clear understanding of exactly how trade works, what it means for you, and why you should take advantage of it. If you have any thoughts of your own or any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. And as always, I'm also looking forward for suggestions for future topics, so if you have any, let me know down below as well. A massive thanks goes out to all of my channel members and patrons for supporting this channel on a monthly basis, and a massive thanks goes out to you for watching. Until next time, cheers.